Oh my god! Elon Musk bought Twitter! That means all the white supremacists are gonna be... Whoa! So, if you guys haven't heard the news, Elon Musk bought Twitter, and everybody's having a freaking field day. Okay? One of these people is Hasanabi, one of my favorite political streamers. However, just because he's my favorite creator, or one of my favorite creators, doesn't mean I 100% fully agree with everything he says, like, herp derp, Hasanabi has a take. Oh my god, that means I have that take too. Okay, screw that, you sheep. Okay, come on. Just because you support someone doesn't mean you 100% support them. And, you know, he usually has, like, kind of, like, crazy takes. Not crazy takes, but he kind of has, like, the more surface level takes, which is why Destiny will constantly, like, criticize Hassan, because Hassan is kind of more emotional, and he kind of focuses more on surface level reactions, because that's the reactions that most Americans have, and most people have, actually. But definitely Americans, because Americans just read the news and then they just react to it, and then that's it. They never dive deeper. They never educate themselves. They just listen to one source of news, and then they say, oh, well, you know, the news told me that. They wouldn't lie to me, would they? So what we have here is I have a few things to say during this. We're going to watch this. Elon Musk admits he's going broke. Hasanabi reacts. By the way, like a little cameo by Moist Critical in the video. Okay, like that's kind of random. Is that a guitar, Hassan, or is that a vibrator? Cameo with Foosley. Oh shit! I forgot to put in the sound, didn't I? Whoa.
Hate speech. I want to show you one other thing. Elon Musk has said a bunch of also idiotic things. Let's start off with the Elon Musk video first and foremost. Okay, here it is. If you don't pay the $8, your tweets will be suppressed by an algorithm. Not making up. He said it to a room of investors yesterday and claimed that this would solve hate speech. You'll have to scroll really far to see unverified users.
The way I think about it is that, so I'm trusting you with the future of our country, of the world, actually, when you're in charge of a media like that. So how do you prevent, so being Jewish, how do you prevent this anti-Semitism? Or if I were black, how do you prevent all of the... So how do you prevent the use of the N-word? We should be able to figure out with software how to moderate this and prevent that from happening. Is that true or not?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Totally agree. Temporarily, people have been able to put some hate speech on Twitter, but then it's been taken down immediately.
So what's up?
So the thing is like people think hate speech is free speech. The thing is hate speech is the fundamental opposite of free speech. And in order to understand this, you need to understand that when you prevent someone else's ability to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, you're taking away their First Amendment. So you can't take away someone else's free speech with your speech. It negates it. It cancels it out. So by allowing completely absolutionist speech, by allowing hate speech, which is pretty much what Twitter was doing before Elon Musk, by the way, there was plenty of hate speech. If you think otherwise, you're completely delusional. By making a couple steps to kind of increase the barrier of entry into being able to use the platform and be recognized by the algorithm. I have a few things to say about that, but we're going to get there. You kind of encourage people to kind of treat the platform actually like a town square, which if you notice, like most people do not shout hate speech at the top of their lungs. Most people have like halfway decent conversations. If you go out in public, you know, people are kind of just conversing, and anytime somebody actually does use hate speech, people are like, what the heck? Like, why are you saying that? Like, what's wrong with you?
So you're anti-hate speech now? What's up, bro? I thought you were pro-free speech, which everybody knows is just pro-hate speech.
I don't know if Hassan's being sarcastic or not.
Because no one's out there going, how dare you say the sky is blue? Ban this mother. No, when people talk about free speech, we're talking about the boundaries, okay? And the idea is What are the boundaries of free speech? No one gives a f- when you say, I like strawberries, okay? No one's like, dude, ban this guy. No, people talk about hate speech, and when you say, oh man, I love free speech, you're just basically saying you want a system where there are no consequences to you saying the N-word or you being hateful towards marginalized groups.
Yeah, and those people are going to get a really huge wake-up call because they're going to realize, wait a minute, I thought Elon Musk was okay with this. Oh, I guess nobody is okay with this. Because if you think that you could just go around your entire life shouting hate speech at the top of your lungs, you are not a functional member of society. You are completely like a detraction from human society. You are a negative part of human life, and nobody should accept you. And the only people who accept you are people just like you. And historically, those groups, are like the KKK, these groups are pretty much not wanted in society.
That's it.
So now, part of what I'm trying to achieve with this sort of enabling everyone to be payment verified with Twitter Blue is to try to get as many people payment verified as possible. It's only 8.
He says payment verified, as though there's no other way to do this verification process. He's like, oh, well.
So I think that's the thing that I think is going to happen is I think what should happen at least, and I'm pretty sure this is how it's going to work. Because we've already seen with the verification process that was kind of introduced or teased with articles and videos that people post where people can upvote it or downvote it, kind of like Reddit. I guess like people can say, oh, was this accurate information? And if enough people say it's not accurate information, then it's going to be put down and shadow banned, where like all these fringe websites and all these fringe accounts that spread misinformation, they will be self-policed by the user base. And I think those will be shadow bound even if you are a paid user. I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to work. So I feel like a normal, like non-paid user should be able to post their way up the karma ladder, just kind of like in Reddit, where if you post enough good stuff, people will see that it's good stuff and it will put you up there with all the paid users. Likewise, I think people who pay their way up, but then also post like a bunch of hate speech, a bunch of misinformation, they will be pushed down even though they're paying the $8 a month. And also, obviously, if you're paying the $8 a month and you're a really good user, you're a good boy or girl, then, I think that's also going to put you way up above everyone, because not only do you pay your way to the platform to get yourself verified, to verify that you're not a bot, that you're not a low quality account, but also back that up with your actual content. And I feel like that is what's going to happen. I feel like that is exactly what is going to happen, is that there's going to be a system like Reddit where people kind of police themselves.
We just want to make everybody pay for the platform. That's basically it. Why the would we literally pay while we are the ones who are creating the content? It makes no sense. At least like with Meta or Facebook and all these other platforms, like they understand that like UGC is what makes the platform
user-generated content
what it is. If no one posted on TikTok, then TikTok would not be TikTok. If no one posted on Twitter, then Twitter would not be Twitter. He literally is just like, dude, you need to pay me to keep posting on the platform that I just bought, okay? Which makes no sense, because without the posters, there is no platform. And a lot of these companies recognize this, which is why they allow speech and ridiculous content to go through for a very long time, because they realize, like, especially YouTube realized this a long time ago, like if I let white supremacists radicalize people on the platform, they're going to stay on the platform for a long ass time.
Yeah, and that's a problem. You should agree that that's a problem, Hassan. Like, that is a problem. And Elon, as much as I don't particularly like him, especially like he's more right wing, and whatever is going on with his transgender daughter, I'm pretty sure he's transphobic. Maybe he's not. I have no idea. Maybe it's a whole slew of problems. And, just because somebody is somebody that's not very likable or somebody that disagrees with you doesn't mean that that person can't also do good things. And I think what he's trying to do with Twitter is he's trying to create a space where we can actually not grind ourselves into the ground, not destroy society. Because that's what happens if you allow capitalism to just go full stop. Like, oh, we're going to allow hate speech because that gives us money. Like, no, you need to put some stopgaps on that. There needs to be some serious stopgaps on that. And it's up to private corporations, unfortunately, if the governments aren't going to step up and take action against companies from doing that, then it's up to private companies like Twitter now, because now Twitter is private under Musk's ownership. And now it's up for him to set the precedent until the government actually catches up and puts in some legislation that prevents outrageous hate platforms. Because what happens is there's white supremacists who are like, oh, I have free speech, but your free speech is attempting to eliminate the free speech of entire demographics of people, such as Jewish people or black people or transgender people, such as myself. And if you use your platform to take away other people's freedom of speech, that completely undermines what the First Amendment should be all about.
A month, although for some people that were complaining about that, and these are people who pay more than that for their latte.
I'm going to be one of your Twitter Blue customers.
Thank you. But
Like, it's like paying $8 a month. It's like paying Netflix, but then all the content on Netflix is content you created. You know what?
Okay, so this argument kind of makes sense, but you need to understand that you can't just go to a freaking Starbucks, not buy anything at all, and just hang out with your laptop plugged in, taking away all their electricity, chatting with people online spending all your time on Hassan's chat, spamming like an idiot, and then like chatting with everybody who's there, chatting with all the paying customers, taking up space. You have all your stuff on a freaking table. You haven't bought a single product. You can't do that. You can't. And yeah, a lot of these like cafes and stuff might be pretty relaxed about people having conversations as long as it's not outrageous. You can't just go into a Starbucks with a megaphone and start shouting at the top of your lungs. You're going to get kicked out. So free speech is not free, first of all. It's never been free. It's never been absolutist. Free speech has always been kind of dictated by human decency. And no shoes, no shirt, no service. You can't just go to a bus stop, shout like the N-word at the top of your lungs. You're going to get arrested. You can't walk around nude because that might offend people, because it's some people are very uncomfortable with nude bodies. There's all sorts of stuff that like goes against like what people are really saying about this whole Twitter thing. Is that you pay $8 a month? That might be a little steep, but it makes you understand that you're it makes the platform understand that you are a verified human. If you're going to use Twitter, especially as a content creator, it's like you're paying for a service. If I'd rather pay for a service that's going to make sure that only people who are verified are going to be pushed to the top. And I think it is a twofold system. I think it's also a karma system or an MMR system, whatever you want to call it. I feel like it's going to be twofold. Like, you have to verify, but you also have to be a good poster. You can't just be a bot account, because if you buy your way, but it's like made apparent that you're a bot account or a hate account or whatever low quality account, I think it'll drive you down the algorithm as well. I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to work. And just like that, like if you go to a Starbucks and you're a good customer and you behave yourself, you don't get a megaphone out and start spamming the N-word, I'm pretty sure they're going to let you back in.
What I mean, if I'm paying money to a service, that service can't just be hosting my fucking words that end up making other people stay on the platform to read my fucking words.
Okay, and there's plenty of platforms in the world to do that without paying. And you still don't have to do that with Twitter, which is like why I said, and I guess I'll stop belaboring this point, is I do believe there will be a karma system, which will allow free users to also rise up the algorithm. And I'm pretty sure that will always be a thing. Because if it's not, that's just insane. I don't think anybody would do that ever. And if they're listening, then you should definitely do it, Elon Musk. I don't know if you're listening, but if you are, okay, maybe your AI is.
That's insane. Now, yeah, Elon Musk was like, shadow banning is a big problem. So now,
So I feel like if you put the people who are willing to pay $8, that's a person, that's a high quality user. That's a person who says, hey, I want to use this platform to spread my knowledge, to spread my content. I'm willing to pay $8 a month to do that. If you don't want to do that, there's plenty of other ways to do that. In fact, the internet isn't even the only place to share your content. You could rise up traditional media. You could also just go out in public, go to universities and use your free speech there. There's all sorts of ways to use your free speech. If you want to use your platform and have yourself elevated to millions of people, I think you should have to pay. I don't think, I do believe that, obviously Twitter will always be free, and if it's not, there's always going to be clones. You could always use some other platform, and if that's how it works, that's how it works. But I'm guessing most people will not leave Twitter. If you think that you're not going to pay $8 and you're a content creator, you're out of your mind.
Now we're going to shadow ban everyone automatically, and they have to buy their way out of shadow banning.
But
UGC, we know you watch Marketing Mondays. You're an Atriarch head. No, I did marketing. Like, I was literally a salesperson. That's my job. My job was advertising, sales, and operations.
it's part of its revenue, part of it is payment authentication. And so if somebody, because there is a huge problem with spam and bots and trolls on Twitter.
Yeah, now at least we can get them to pay for it. Like, that's basically what he's saying.
So I know, like that is kind of like a backwards way of thinking, because I know that it seems like, oh, well, then a bunch of the companies and bot accounts will just buy their way in. It's going to cut out like a very large percentage of the bot accounts and the spam accounts and the hate accounts. Most people will not be willing to put in those $8 to do endless amount of spamming and bot accounts. The vast majority of low effort people will just use free accounts. And I'm betting that there's going to, like I said, I'm betting there's going to be a karma system. Even if people have the bot accounts that they've paid for, the verification, they're going to be pushed to the bottom. I bet you. You know, if not, I owe you a coffee.
And organizations trying to manipulate public opinion. But if we can get enough verified users, and we're going to prioritize Twitter search, replies, mentions by verified users first.
He's so fucking stupid.
See, like, no, Hassan, here's the thing, is that I know that we want a perfect world. We want a world where we can post to Twitter to millions of people without any consequences, but we've already seen the case that if we just allow people to just completely post to millions of people, people are going to take advantage of that. And if you're going to try to get ourselves out of this tire fire that we're in, we're going to have to take some drastic measures. And if that takes an $8 verification system, then that might be how it works. You know, that's only one part of it. I think having a karma system is huge. But I do feel like it narrows, it weeds out a lot of the problem accounts. And I think anybody who thinks otherwise doesn't understand the scope and understand like the statistics of, there's going to be like, probably, I'm pulling a number out of my ass here, but like it's probably going to be like 95% of the spam, bot, hate accounts are just going to disappear. The only ones that are going to stay are the ones who are willing to pay to do it, and I don't think they're going to last long anyway, because they're either going to get banned or they're going to get shadow banned.
It is mind-boggling. He is quite literally stating Twitter has a gigantic problem with spamming and bots. So we are going to change the process so that they have to pay for it. So then all you see is verified spam and bots.
Yeah, and like I said, that's it's not going to work out that way. There's going to be a large percentage that's going to drop off.
So the real users that don't want to fucking pay for it, because they're like, why the fuck would I pay $8 a month for this shit? Okay, are going to not use fucking Twitter.
They will. Of course you will. Twitter is like the biggest freaking like platform to have short form content, and just, you know, people are still going to use it even as free users. And like I said, I'm pretty damn sure you're going to be able to karma your way up like in Reddit.
That's what's going to happen.
And search, and you won't really see, you'll have to scroll far to see the unverified users, which will be the...
No, that's not gonna happen unless it's like, unless everybody who is currently using the platform pays $8 a
Yeah, and it's more than that. I think it's not going to play out how you think it does, Hassan.
month to be verified. If that doesn't happen, you're just only gonna have bot spam.
bots
And that would be the case if verifying with money was the only way. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a karma system.
and trolls and whatnot. Like,
So if something we don't want to see, it gets pushed way down.
yeah, just the basic.
So
Yeah, the only way to combat hate speech is by paid speech.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that might be. I mean, at least he's doing something, right? At least he's doing something. What are other companies doing? You have companies that are just like YouTube, even like just allowing like people to just rally and like white supremacists, homophobic, anti-gay, anti-trans. You're allowing these people to just propagate entire giant audiences because it makes them more money. Okay, so I mean, at least Twitter is trying to say, no, we don't want that. Like we want actual free speech, not hate speech. And as much as people thought that, I mean, I think Elon did a total five-head genius move of not clarifying this until after he started owning Twitter. I think he hyped it up. This guy's a genius at hyping up Dogecoin. Okay, like he got so many people to buy Dogecoin. This guy is the guy that you want to be a head of Twitter. Okay, like I don't know. I used to not be on board, but as I'm seeing this unfold, I'm like, as much as I don't particularly like Elon Musk, that's still the guy that you want owning a company like that, because he doesn't bend to that shit of like, oh yeah, advertisers, he's gonna get into a second. I have a little bit to say about it, about the about the activists, which I think the activists have good intentions, but the way they're going about it is completely wrong. And then you have a bunch of people. This is why I don't particularly associate with most of trans people on the internet. Is there's pretty much a cult of trans people on the internet who, if you don't join their cult, you're not part of the group. So I'm basically I'm basically with the cisgenders, even though I'm transgender. Like I'm basically just lumped into them according to the cult, and I don't want to join that cult. So therefore, I'm not popular with the transgender community online. It's just how it is, because there's this idea that activism is somehow just like completely just like deciding who gets to say what. And it's not effective. It's never been effective, and hate speech has been even like ramped up even worse because of this so-called activism. I call it slacktivism.
I love that. This Rex Twitter, in his own words, Connor Camera, you won't really see what your friends are posting. Even in your own replies, they don't pay for it. His genius idea is shadow banning free users. Here's them joking about firing half of Twitter staff, yet whining about advertising, claiming we made no change in our operations. According to AddictSake, Lou Paz, who was on a call with him Thursday, this is false. There's been a massive change in content moderation teams.
So today we fired half of Twitter, and that should save us, what, $4 billion a year?
No, it's not going to say $4 billion a year. I wish, but I mean, to be frank, Twitter
This
was
dumbass like, bro, I didn't really think this through. I didn't really think this through. Not good idea. I know. Shut up.
having pretty serious revenue challenges and cost challenges before the acquisition talks started. So, and then we also recently had a lot of difficulty with activist groups pressuring major advertisers to.
And this is the problem, is that activism is getting stuff done, getting governments to actually implement policies that protect human rights. Activism is not having some company like with tech giants and basically trying to control from the shadows what is and isn't allowed on the platform, and basically just pulling all your money in if they don't adhere to your idea of what things should be. That is not activism. That is elitism. That is people with power trips. That is people thinking, that is people doing something that they think is actually effective that is not. So people are putting a ton of effort into this so-called activism, but all it is just a cult. It's people just going around saying, no, you're oppressing me. You're a hate speech. Like that's hate speech. That's hate speech. No, like there actually is hate speech happening. There actually are human rights being violated, and you're doing nothing about that. You're focusing all your energy on little teeny tiny groups within Twitter and within Discords and like websites, as much as like it's good thing that Kiwi Farms was attacked, you know, that Kiwi Farms was battled, like we did something about that. Like there's so many of these people who are like rallying behind Keffels and shit like that, who like are just doing shit. They're doing absolutely nothing. They're going on web forums and just typing and typing and typing, saying like, oh well, I'm gonna counter your. It's like basically they're playing Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm gonna counter your hate speech by going to dox you and finding all your account number. And it's like, what the hell is wrong with you? That is not activism. That is you being a dumbass. That is you being a dumbass. Stop being a fucking idiot. Okay? There are terrible things happening in the world. Governments are completely infringing upon human rights, and you're putting all your attention onto social media. That is not activism. That is fake activism. That is that like you're doing something. It's like spinning a wheel. It's not actually going anywhere. Get off the wheel and start crawling if you have to. At least you're moving somewhere.
Stop spending money on.
This is fake. This never happened. Look, the Starbucks latte analogy is dumb, as a chatter also pointed out in the chat. And here's why. When I go to Starbucks, I don't make the fucking coffee myself for not only myself, but for others as well. Okay? No one's going to Starbucks and being like, all right, time to fucking make this Starbucks myself. Time to make the latte myself. You're paying for a service. You're not.
Okay, so I think the better example was the one I used, which is if you go into a Starbucks and you don't buy a single product, and you just sit down and use an electrical outlet to plug your laptop and to sit there all day, not buying anything, like you're going to be asked to leave at some point. You know, like people are going to be bothered by you. There's paying customers who want to use that electrical outlet. There's paying customers who want to sit there. Okay?
Not literally making the fucking latte yourself and serving it to others, and now Starbucks is like, it was free for you to make your own latte and serve it to others, but now we're going to charge you for it. Like, no one would do that. Like, that latte wasn't fucking free.
This is despite us doing everything possible to appease them and to make it clear that moderation rules and hateful conduct rules have not changed, and we're continuing to enforce them. A number of major advertisers have stopped spending on Twitter. This doesn't seem right because we've made no change in our operations at all.
It doesn't seem right.
But nonetheless, the activist groups have been successful.
So, like, I mean, I guess a good analogy for this is like basically what happened with the Great Depression was a whole bunch of people freaked out because of like a recession. And then they pulled out all of their money from the banks. Okay. And what that did was that created a crisis where all the banks were running out of money because people were not using the banks. People took all of their savings out of the banks. And because everybody panicked, it created an amazing, like a devastatingly, like a devastating depression that took like a world war to get out of. It it took World War II. And all the efforts that the country, you know, the United States, but you know, there was a Great Depression, you know, it was across the whole world. It was but like, you know, like it took a unified effort of fighting Nazis to get out of this depression. And so if everybody just panics and pulls out their support, it's going to fail. So you need to calm down, slow down, and just trust the process.
It doesn't seem right. Why are they leaving my platform? Why are they no longer giving me money? Maybe because I kept antagonizing people over and over again. Please give me money again. Please, please, please. Dumbass. You spent the entire fucking week antagonizing people over and over again. You said what you said over and over again. You kept hanging out with and hyping up like psychotic right-wingers and shit. You posted conspiracy theories. You fired half the fucking moderation teams, and now you're like, oh, I don't know why people don't want to be a part of this now. Like,
dude, I think Elon, like I said, as much as I don't like him particularly, but like I think he's like completely like nine-head on how to like get people to do what he wants them to do. And so like by posting the conspiracy stuff, I think he's pointing a finger at like what the problem is. Because people are basically just posting whatever, and then people are just blindly thinking that it's factual information, and it's not all the time. Sometimes it's absolute wild conspiracy shit that has no basis on reality. Also, hanging out with the right wingers, making them think that he's on their side, and then flipping it as soon as like that is a freaking 5-head move, 9-head move. That is 9-dimensional chess. Okay, like as much as like I don't particularly like Elon Musk. I do like what he's doing for humanity, at least with his intentions, and he has the money to back it up. And he has done some things. He's trying to push AI, which is going to revolutionize the world. He's trying to get us into space, to put factories into space, which is going to get a lot of emissions out of the freaking planet if we put a lot of factories into suborbit instead of on our planet. That's getting out so much emissions. And if we can have like reusable and profitable, not profitable, but like if we can have low cost ways of delivering and of sending back and forth from outer space back to the planet, like making all of our products out in giant factories that in this amazing amount of space that we have outside of the planet, and then bringing it back to Earth. We could do things like crazy, like cold fusion, and if we can create better batteries so that we can deliver them back, reuse the rockets. That's exactly what he's doing. And he's trying to do that with Twitter, and it's still really unclear if it's going to work. Some things you just can't force. At least he's trying. Some things you just can't force. I think the reason why Twitter is most of social media has been historically terrible is not because it's like the platforms themselves, even though the platforms do try to push some kind of, ideology of like, hey, we want a place where people can post their stuff and enjoy and, all that kind of stuff. But people are going to ruin it because people are shit. Okay. And that will always be the case until we make efforts to uplift ourselves. And I think maybe at least, what Elon's trying to do with Twitter might be a small step in where we should be going. But I don't know. The jury's still out on whether or not what he's aiming to do will be effective. We'll be watching.
Well, yeah, you fucked it up. You ruined everyone's favorite toy.
Causing a massive drop in Twitter advertising revenue. And we've done our absolute best to appease them, and nothing is working. So this is a major concern, and I think...
Okay, I think there's one last thing here.
What he's claiming here is what Instagram are complex. Human beings are not infallible. Human beings are imperfect. It's like that moment where you realize like your parents are real humans. Okay, they fuck up. They're not as smart as you think they are. When you realize like, holy shit, Elon Musk is not this mega genius. What the fuck?
I think anybody who's like halfway intelligent always knew that people are fallible. And, I think there are a lot of people out there who just like Hassan, for example. This is a good example. People just listen to Hassan. There's people in his chat right now listening to him and just believing every single thing he says as some kind of ultimate truth. He is kind of established on the platform, and he is established as a political kind of news curator and commenter. But he's just a human being. And I think most people who are, halfway intelligent understand that. But you'd be surprised how many people need to figure that out.
Under capitalism,
okay,
yeah, but what happens to the humans?
But it is not clear. If you no longer have a constraint on capita because of a useful humanoid robot, it is not clear that there's any limit to the size of the economy.
But automation under capitalism leads to not people having a fucking 4-hour workday or an 8-hour work week, rather, but instead people being unemployed, underemployed, cast aside. That's the issue, because all technological achievements under capitalism are done at the behest and the benefit of capital owners, an increasingly smaller group of people that have access to all the wealth and power.
Yeah, and the thing is like, what are we going to do once automation takes over the economy? That's actually what Andrew Yang, the Yang Gang, That's what his entire platform was about when he was running for president, was trying to introduce people to that content because it will be a problem. It will be a problem in our lifetime as artificial intelligence and robots and like automation, as that takes over the workforce. That is going to be a real problem that if we are not careful will destroy us. And that's why governments need to step in and make legislation to match the evolution of technology. Because if we don't, corporations are going to completely take advantage of the situation. And that's what we've seen with platforms like YouTube, platforms like Twitter even, and what Elon is trying to address is that if we don't take a few steps to like say, wait a minute, we need to take a few steps back. We went too far. You know, maybe we should take a step back a little bit, even though it's going to make us less profits. Sometimes for the benefit of humanity, you need to cut some profits. Okay, like I think somebody needs to take the L. And I think that's what Elon's doing. I think he's willing to do that because I think he's trying to improve the world. And maybe we don't all see it now. And it is really hard to see it, especially when people are more right-wing and kind of like, you know, maybe even transphobic. It's kind of frustrating as somebody who's transgender. It's really hard to support people who are more right-wing because of that. It's not always the case that they're transphobic, but at least they're soft transphobic, you know. Yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot. That's an actual issue, is that what are we going to do to prevent capitalism from completely destroying ourselves? Because I think the answer is either, first of all, private corporations are going to have to figure it out. But I also think that governments are like us, like we're supposed to vote people in who are then going to make policies that prevent capitalism from overrunning, like, you know, increasing taxes for corporations that use automation because they have increased profits. Some of those profits should go back into universal basic income or, you know, schooling or anything else, because there's always going to be jobs that only humans can do. And also not everyone is going to be able to have those jobs. Some people will want to pursue just, you know, taking care of the world in another way, such as spending money or, you know, like, you know, like, so universal basic income would work for those people who just want to veg out and who don't really have any ambition, or who just like, they just want to raise their family. That should be perfectly fine. Not everybody wants to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Some people just want to take care of their family. Anyway, that's about all I have to say about that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like this sort of content, make sure to like and subscribe. And